What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I am so excited about today's episode because, that's right, we're starting seeds. It feels so good. It feels so good to be starting seeds. And I know a lot of you have shared pictures and said, hey, I'm starting my seeds. Of course, the people that were sharing these pictures were in zone 8, zone 9, zone 10. They're really lucky right now. We're still in some winter weather. In fact, it snowed just today to add more salt to the wound. But I'm always reminding myself, you have to stay positive. You have to stay optimistic, and you have to look at the fact that spring technically is only in about 20-ish days. I think 21 days maybe. But it's right around the corner. And yes, I know it's definitely a long-standing joke that the first day of spring here in Michigan usually still has snow on the ground. That's okay. I get it. But it's the fact that there is a change in the air. Even the humidity is changing. When the snow does fall, it does not last as long, and there's just a feeling. The birds are returning. They sound a whole lot different. And there's activity, and I love that. We tapped our maple trees, so things are happening, and I'm excited about it. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is starting our seeds. We're actually a little bit behind the ball for some of these seeds here. So if you're in Michigan or you're in zone 6, zone 5, you've got to get these seeds started so you can get them growing, because they do take longer to mature and they also take longer to get growing. That's why we're starting these now. Some of these ones should have been started about a week or two ago. And I know the question will come up, Luke, I'm worried I'm not going to have enough time to grow these. Should I just not grow them? The answer is no. Definitely do not grow them. Just get them in the ground, get them started, because I do always say it's better late than never. Here in Michigan, we've got a long enough growing season that theoretically, for instance, one of the things we're starting today are peppers. You could really start seeds directly in the ground outside, and you'll have enough time to get a harvest. But peppers, because they work in flushes, the longer you have the plant growing, the sooner you're going to get that first flush. And then after you harvest that first flush, it's going to put out a second flush. And generally, if you start your stuff early enough and you get it in the ground about 5 to 7 weeks before your first frost date, you're going to be able to get 3 flushes. And that is awesome, because that means you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck out of these plants rather than just getting one harvest. So that's kind of the added benefit to starting stuff early. It's not that you won't have a harvest, it's just that you're going to get a better harvest. And then there's things like, let's see here, like celery. We've got a couple different types of celery here. We got some pink celery and some Utah tall celery. And those take 110 days to mature. And that's 110 growing season days. That means that you still have about 10 to 12 days to get these things germinating, plus 110 days to get these things mature. So they take a long time. Things like parsnips, you can't start them in the ground, but they take 110 days as well. So, and those sometimes grow up into the very first frost. You really have to get your stuff started early if you're going to be growing things like celery. A lot of your herbs, my goodness, I've got lemongrass, we have stevia, we have rosemary, we have, what else do we have in here? Parsley, chives, sage, a lot of your herbs. Those take a long time to get growing and a lot of time to kind of build up. They're usually kind of slow growing. Lemongrass, stevia, and rosemary in particular, they're very slow growing. You really want to get these started early so that they have a good established plant by the time you move them outside. So we're going to start those now. Things like artichokes. We've got artichokes, and they take a long time to get growing. The bigger the plant is when it comes to dormancy, these are biennial, or well, actually perennial, but they take 2 years to set fruit. And so you want to make sure that you start your artichokes really early. That means a bigger, healthier plant's going to go into the ground and is a better chance of overwintering for you. So you got to start those early. And also, there are some artichokes. Mind you, there are some artichokes that exist out there. They're not heirloom. There's some hybrids that are bred for earlier maturity. You can even get some artichokes to actually fruit early if you get them started early enough. But you're still looking right around 110 days. And then obviously, you're looking at things like onions. My gosh, we got so many different onions. I'll bring you in for the different varieties that we're growing, but we got so many different onions here that we are starting. And you got to start onions early. The reason why is because onions will actually stop growing as soon as the summer solstice happens. And that means that the onions will actually start forming bulbs then, and any leaves that you have are what contributes to the size of the bulb. The more leaves you have, the bigger the bulb is. So common sense says start your onions early, about 5 to 7 weeks, 6 weeks right in the middle there, in between the two. If you don't know 5 or 7, just pick 6. That's what I always say. But 5 to 7 weeks before your last frost date, you want to start your onions so they're nice and tall when you put them outside. They're nice and strong for you, so they're not going to they're not going to take a whole long time to get established. They're already going to be established. But the whole premise is you got to get started. Another thing that I did want to mention: what's going on with the varieties this year? So a lot of you had questions on these varieties and the varieties that we're growing. And that's because we're doing something called the Year of Diversity. Every year we assign a word to our channel that kind of sets the tone for what we're going for. And the Year of Diversity is going to be an incredible journey of discovering biodiversity, really seeing what's available to us as gardeners. And every time we harvest, our objective is to have just an absolute array of the wildest colors, shapes, sizes, flavors, you name it. We want to have only one plant of each type of vegetable, or of each variety of vegetable, my apology. So, for instance, you have peppers, right? You get hot peppers, you get sweet peppers, that's fine. But we're only going to be growing one plant of golden golden cow wonder sweet pepper. We're only going to be growing one jalapeno pepper plant, only one big Jim. You kind of get the theme here. We're only growing one of those. We're not only growing one pepper plant, we're just growing one of each variety of pepper plant. And that is going to make sure that we not only can jam-pack our garden with the most amount of plants, but we're also going to get the most amount of diversity out of our garden. And I'm just so excited to see how much we can fit. I think total, from the stuff that I've collected, stuff that I've gone out and bought, as well as stuff from our store, we're up to right around like 550 to 600 varieties, which is awesome. I am so excited about it. We've gotten seeds from a bunch of different people that have sent things in. Please don't send in any more seeds. We are totally slammed with seeds right now. It's crazy. We have people sending in, I'd love you to try this. I'd love you to try that. So we've done that as well. We got some really cool stuff that people have sent in, and we're going to be adding that to the garden as well. But we cannot take any more. No more, please. No more. But yeah, so we've just got a bunch of different stuff from a bunch of different places, including our store, and we're just going to get started. Now, we'll mention the only exception to the Year of Diversity will come with our onions. This is because we do still need storage onions. We eat a lot of onions, and we don't necessarily want to just grow one onion of each variety, because there's only so many onions available to us, and they take up such a small amount of space that we really would only grow about 7 to 10 onions. And so I really don't want to do that. We're going to grow a lot of onions this year, but they will be the only exception. I forgot to mention that. And here's the crazy thing. Even just dealing with alliums, just the onion category, you think you don't have that many to work with? You've got chives. We've got garlic in the garden already. We've got Utah sweet yellow Spanish, Tokyo long white bunching. We've got shallots, the white sweet Spanish onion, the red burgundy onion, the ruby red long day onion, the Kelsey onion, the Ailsa Craig onion, and the American flag leek. These are all just alliums. This is just incredible, the amount of diversity that exists just for us in the allium category. It's awesome. I love it. So the mix I'm using for our seed starting mix is just Pro Mix. I love Pro Mix because, if I've not yet said this enough on this channel, I think it's by far one of the most superior mixes when it comes to porosity. It means like how well it holds on to water, but also how loose it is. It's very, very loose. And I love that because it's also a mixture of peat and coconut husk fiber. That means that it's got a really good ratio of organic matter to the mix that's in there. Often when you look at whole growing mediums that are made with just peat, they can be very acidic and they can tend to clump a lot. but with the coconut husk fiber in there, it really tends to keep things loose. It really just allows the mix to stay fluid, and I love that because when you're starting seeds, the worst thing you can have happen is for there to be compaction. I also love it because there's perlite and vermiculite, as well as it's been inoculated with mycorrhiza, and that's your beneficial fungi that we talk all the time about and how beneficial that is to the garden and to your plant's health. So it's got that in there. Then we've just taken a little bit of trifecta. I add about, in this tub I kind of just eyeballed maybe a cup or two. I don't really ever measure. I just kind of throw some in because you really can't add too much. I guess you could, but within reason, you can't add too much. And then just pre-moisten it so it goes into the cells well, and that's it. It's really simple. So the first thing we're going to do is plant our onions. Now we are going to be doing a method called bulk seeding. Bulk seeding is very effective with things like onions that don't mind being pulled apart when you go to plant them. Now we are going to be simply planting one row of each, maybe two, depending on the variety. Alrighty, so we got everything planted up, everything's ready to go. All we need to do is just give it a final watering in, and that's the final step. So I do know it looks a little sparse here, and that's because we're waiting on some stuff that we ordered that has not came in yet. And we also do have some stuff that just doesn't need to be started yet. Tomatoes, eggplants, things like that. They'd be way too big by the time it comes time to planting them outdoors that I don't want to risk stressing them out. So I would not start them this early anyways. And so therefore, they're not started yet either. But we have a lot of stuff still to start. By the time it's all said and done, all three of these tables will be totally filled up with these 10 by 20 trays here. And it just takes time. It just takes time. Not everything needs to be planted in one day. And so it's better to kind of pace yourself and get the stuff started that needs to be started and just work in baby steps. So, all right, I'm gonna get these watered here, and then I'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks guys so much for tuning in. If you have any comments or questions, post them in the comments box below. Make sure to like this video, it really helps. We'll catch you all in the next one. See ya, bye.